Hey guys, it's Jackie over at Stain Foo, and in today's video I'm going to show you our foolproof way of removing coffee stains from your carpet. So I was inspired to make this our stain of the week because one of our friends had called us and said, help, some coffee got spilled on our brand new carpet. What is the best way to get it out? And so I want to show you guys the best way, the best method. We've spilled coffee on this particular sample so many times, and you'll see that it's been cleaned every single time. So looking at our carpet sample, I have been doing some spill tests and such, and this is what happens a lot of times to coffee spills. You clean it up and then it comes right back. The reason being is because coffee contains something called tannins, and other difficult type of stains like red wine and tea, in addition to coffee, contain tannins. And it technically is a vegetable dye, and you're basically dyeing the carpet with the coffee. And so there's a lot of different layers as well and ingredients in coffee, because we're dealing with not only the temperature of the coffee itself. A lot of times, you know, it's hot, and when it's hot, it tends to, the bonding of the fibers and the coffee tend to be greater. But we're also dealing with cream and sugar and milk if you drink it that way with your coffee. And here's everything that you will need to get rid of your coffee stain. So of course you'll need your bottle of Stain Foo. You'll need a couple of white towels, and we recommend cotton terry towels like these, and I'll put a link in the description below of where we get ours. But you can also use some paper towels if you'd like, or a color fast towel, but as long as you know that the color from the towel is not going to transfer onto your carpet, then you can use that. But we know for sure, because there's no dye in these towels, that there's no risk. And we can also tell a lot better how much we're getting out of the carpet when we're blotting it up. So that's why we strongly recommend those. And also a dull metal spoon. And you might be wondering, well, why is that? And it's because, well, most people have this in their household, but it's used for agitating, and it can also scoop things out if you have, you know, solids. So the spoon can actually be a really good tool for just general stain removal. And we also say a dull metal spoon because we know it's not going to scratch or distort your fibers like a plastic spoon will. Especially a scrub brush, that's going to scratch your fibers or really distort your fibers, and we don't want that. And then something heavy like a book or a brick. We have this big, thick book that will be perfect for weighing down the towels later on. Okay, so I'm gonna spill the coffee. Oh, that was quite a bit. I didn't mean to do that. Okay, so we have our coffee spill here. The first step that's going to be is to blot up as much as we can from the carpet. And a lot of times what we see is that people don't really spend the time to blot up as much as you can. And it's pretty important because the more that you get out, the less product you'll have to use and the less time it's going to take to get the stain out of your carpet. So blot up as much as you can. And this can be time consuming if you spilled a lot like I just did on the carpet, but it's absolutely worth taking the time to do it. Okay, next we're going to take our bottle of Stain Foo, and we're going to make sure that it's on, but we're going to first shake it up, make sure that the mixture is all shooken up, and then we're going to apply a generous amount onto the stain or spill. And another tip is to make sure that you spray enough product onto the carpet. Sometimes people will only spray once thinking that's going to be enough, but you have to make sure that, especially with stains and such, that it gets deep down into your carpet fibers. So, okay, so the next step is to take your dull metal spoon, and I like to use the handle, but you can also use this here too. But basically what we're going to be doing is agitating with the spoon to make sure that the product is getting deep into the carpet fibers, and that way we can let the product work in. Okay, so the next step is to take your towels and stack them like this, and we're just gonna place it on top of the stain or spill. And we're just going to immediately put something heavy on top, like the book or brick, and we're going to wait usually a couple of hours, maybe till the next day, and we're gonna check on it. And basically what we're doing is we're letting the coffee stain wick up into the towels so it has somewhere to dry. Carpet likes to dry from the bottom to the top. Let me actually just show really quick. These two spills that we did earlier that we cleaned came back. And the reason being is because, if you can see that, hopefully, if we look deep down in there, it looks completely clean, right? But on top, there's a stain. And so when we put the towels on top of your stain, that's where it's gonna go, is in your towels. So I left these here just to show as an example of what's going to happen if you don't do the towel stacking. It's just going to come right back up, because that's what coffee does. Same with red wine and tea, because of those tannins like I had mentioned earlier. But if you do this, you will get your coffee stain out of your carpet, no problem. We're going to wait and check on it later and see what happens. Okay, so it's been a while since the towels have been sitting on top of our stain, way down by this book, and let's check it out. All right. I don't know if you guys can see that in the camera, but you can definitely see brownish in the towels here. And yeah, look at that. Looks like our stain is gone. And all of the stain or spill wicked up into these towels. So this is the absolute best way to get coffee out of your carpet.